persuaded, frankly, by the Trump argument regarding the working class in this country and also by the fairness argument. So I will just say this. If it works, it'll be the ballsiest and gutsiest thing a president's done in decades. Let me finish.
No, please,
let me finish. And if it doesn't work, the political consequences fall on the shoulders of one man.
Actually, and I totally agree with you. This is the one time I actually agree with you. Jim Cramer said it best. Well, there are several, maybe 5 times. This is one of those 5 times.
Talked about the political consequences will be on the shoulders of one man, but the economic consequences are going to be on the whole world. This is an experiment that should not have been taking place because, and you talk about the Republicans who are not speaking up. So far, I mean, Mitch McConnell has come out with a statement. Where was he talking about this, by the way, during the campaign?
When we knew, because Donald Trump
no one ever expected this madness.
They expected Donald Trump to enact tariffs. He did it in his first term.
Let's be clear.
This is economic vandalism.
I mean, this is actually not.
Well, I would think a lot of working class Americans would say what was done to them was economic crunch.
But the jobs that are going to come back, according to the Peterson Institute, the very jobs that Donald Trump says.
So, Scott Jennings, cons go. To Republican who's just moderate enough to keep his seat at the panel table, decides to grace us with this masterpiece of political hedging. If tariffs fail, blame falls on Trump's shoulders. Wow. Bold. Courageous. Never been done before. I mean, I'm just floored by the sheer moral clarity of this take. If tariffs fail. If tariffs fail. The word if is doing some Olympic-level heavy lifting in this sentence. Because we already know, have known for years, in fact, that tariffs, especially the kind Trump loves, don't just fail. They actively blow up in people's faces. Farmers suffer. Small businesses suffer. Prices go up. Supply chains turn into a nightmare straight out of a logistics major's fever dream. And here comes Scott Jennings, parachuting into the discourse to let us know that if all that happens again, then yeah, maybe sort of kind of, Trump might be to blame. Maybe. Bro, where have you been? This isn't a new experiment. This isn't some bold economic frontier. Trump's tariff fetish isn't a policy innovation. It's economic cosplay. It's 1930s protectionism repackaged in a MAGA hat. And the receipts? Oh, we've got them. Ask the soybean farmers in Iowa how the last trade war went. Spoiler alert, China called our bluff, retaliated, and Trump had to hand out billions in subsidies like it was monopoly money just to keep rural America from bailing on him. But here's the real kicker. Jennings doesn't come out swinging. He doesn't say Trump's tariffs have already failed and he's to blame. He uses the future conditional, that political duck and cover strategy where you say, if this doesn't work, well then sure, maybe we can circle back and wag a finger at Trump. And look, let's be real, Jennings isn't writing this for you and me. He's writing this to keep his seat at the conservative table. He wants to sound smart on Ken, keep the Trumpers from turning on him entirely, and maybe still get invited to a Heritage Foundation luncheon. So he straddles the fence. Just enough spine to say this could be bad, but not enough to say this was always bad and we let it happen. It's like watching someone walk into a burning building with a gas can and then saying, if this fire gets worse, I think the guy with the gas can might bear some responsibility. Let me say it plain. Tariffs as Trump uses them are not a real strategy. They're a tantrum weaponized. A button he slams when he's losing an economic pissing match and wants to make it look like strength. Jennings pretending there's still a question about whether this tactic will succeed is like pretending the Titanic might still float if we patch the hole fast enough. Scott, I know you're trying to thread the needle. I get it. The GOP is still Trump's party, and criticizing dear leader too loudly means you get banished to the land of the principled conservatives, aka the political retirement home. But history doesn't care about your job security. Trump owns the tariffs. Trump owns the fallout, and pretending it's still an open question is just political cowardice in khakis.
This seems pretty straightforward if you're a conservative. What also makes this I think, somewhat absurd is they put out this formula here. I have it here. It's a chart like this that the president held up. And in the blue and white column, they basically had a made-up formula. Here's how Larry Summers describes it. It's now clear that Donald Trump's administration computed reciprocal tariffs without using tariff data. No tariff data at all. This is to economics what creationism is to biology, astrology is to astronomy, or RFK thought is to vaccine science. The Trump tariff policy makes little sense, even if you believe in protectionist, mercantilist economics. I don't understand. I mean, I guess they think nobody is going to bother to check, but making up numbers and then saying, oh, we're going to half that number and be generous is not math. It's also not economics. It's kind of no way to run the economics of the greatest economy in the world.
Well, look, I'm not going to get into the mathematical formulas they came up with because I wasn't there and I don't know how or why they did it. I have mixed feelings about this, truthfully. I wasn't trained to believe in tariffs. You know, those of us who grew up as traditional Republicans have always thought what Ronald Reagan thought. And so what Trump is doing here is implanting new economic theory DNA inside of the Republican Party. And what you're seeing is some Republicans are rejecting it. Some Republicans are reluctantly going on with it. Some Republicans are enthusiastically embracing it. I know people in the business community who are on both sides of it, frankly, back home in Kentucky and elsewhere. I'm also persuaded, frankly, by the Trump argument regarding the working class in this country and also by the fairness argument. So I will just say this. If it works, it'll be the ballsiest and gutsiest thing a president's done in decades. Let me finish.
No, please,
let me finish. And if it doesn't work, the political consequences fall on the shoulders of one man.
Actually, and I totally agree with you. This is the one time I actually agree with you. Jim Cramer said it best. Well, there are several, maybe 5 times. This is one of those 5 times. Jim Cramer said this is a man-made issue. One man made this issue, and it was Donald Trump. And I think that the Americans wanted lower prices. They didn't want higher prices. What's going to happen, and what economists are saying, is not only are people going to get laid off, but costs are going to go up. And that's not what the American people want. And they're going to see it in the midterm elections. And so I think that the Republican Party needs to be very careful about what they're doing. The other problem with all of this is the uncertainty. He's not saying how long these tariffs are going to go. He's not saying, is this a done deal for a while, or is it a short-term deal? And that's a problem.
Let me let Richard in.
You talked about the political consequences will be on the shoulders of one man, but the economic consequences are going to be on the whole world. This is an experiment that should not have been taking place because, and you talk about the Republicans who are not speaking up. So far, I mean, Mitch McConnell has come out with a statement. Where was he talking about this, by the way, during the campaign when we knew that tariffs were going to be large on the agenda? You also
you just raised an issue. You said during the campaign when we knew, because Donald Trump
no one ever expected this madness.
They expected Donald Trump to enact tariffs. He did it in his first term.
Let's be clear.
This is economic vandalism.
I mean, this is actually not.
Well, I would think a lot of working class Americans would say what was done to them was economic crunch.
But the jobs that are going to come back, according to the Peterson Institute, the very jobs that Donald Trump says are going to come back are the jobs that America doesn't need. America needs high-paying, high-skilled, digital, a new age, AI-based economy. What he's talking about bringing back is old style. Basically, look.
Well, no.
Here is a shoe. It's my shoe, right? It is made in China. You talked about these luxury products.
They are.
Right, but you take your shoe off and see where it's made.
Yes.
Made in China, made in Vietnam. This is going to be 34% more expensive. It's an ordinary shoe bought in a discount store.
Look, I represent.
So here's the breakdown. Trump's tariff policy? No solid economic data behind it, just vibes. It completely flies in the face of what Republicans used to believe. You know, free markets, global trade, all that jazz. But now, we're taxing imports like it's the 1930s and calling it strategy. And yeah, if by some miracle these tariffs work, sure. Trump gets the credit, but let's be honest, they're not working. Prices are already going up, jobs are at risk, and the industries Trump's trying to protect stuck in the past. We don't need more factory line jobs. We need AI engineers and data analysts. But Trump's still playing economic Mad Libs from 1985. Meanwhile, your shoes, your electronics, your basic essentials, All about to get way more expensive. Thanks, tariffs. Bottom line, this isn't bold policy, it's political theater. And if it all crashes, Trump owns it.
He's saying that that we're here and they're here and they want to do that.
He is tariffing countries.
That's what he's saying.
Tim, he is tariffing countries.
Is secondary.
He is tariffing countries that do not actually tariff us at the levels that we are now tariffing them, because he is using a made-up formula based off of trade deficits.
He said on the plane tonight, I saw before I walked in here, that he's gotten a number of calls from leaders of other nations around the world. So you wonder what kind of negotiations are going on. If I might offer a piece of advice, though.
His Treasury Secretary literally said, there are no conversations.
Well, the president of the United States said it on the plane tonight, so I don't know who outranks who. But let me just offer.
Exactly. I think to what end is a very important
piece of advice. I do think that if an American ally comes to the table like Israel did and said, we're totally eliminating our tariffs, we should immediately reward that. Because I do think part of the game here is, if you want to work with us and you want to treat us and American creators and American businesses fairly, we want to do the same for you. Israel did that. I assume other countries are going to do that.
Israel did that, and guess what? Guess what they did to Israel? They slapped them with a 17%
I know. I'm saying we should treat them. We should treat them the same.
17% tariff.
But if all the countries do what you say, Scott, and everybody does sort of come back to this level playing field, then the president is not going to get this other renaissance in manufacturing and renaissance of new jobs, because the level playing field, you make goods and services where it is economically advantageous to do so. And at the moment in the United States,
let's start digging up some diamond mines and exporting those, and then it will justify the tariffs that we have placed on small African nations for diamond imports. Some of this does not make logical sense.
So, we're confused about the tariffs. No kidding. Here's the thing. When your entire economic strategy sounds like a game of broken telephone between Trump and half the planet, yeah, confusion's gonna happen. One day it's great progress with China. Next day it's tariffs go up Monday. It's chaos. And not the fun kind. Even guys like Scott Jennings, Trump defending team panelist by day, Gulf apologist by night, are out here saying, well, if tariffs fail, the blame is on Trump. If they fail, the blame is on Trump. Come on, Scott. They're already failing. The confusion alone is tanking manufacturing, killing jobs, and scaring the hell out of businesses. That's not on China. That's not on Mexico. That's on Trump. You can't run the economy like a reality show cliffhanger and expect investors, workers, or global leaders to take you seriously. And when other countries don't comply, whatever that means, you don't get to just shrug and say, well, we tried. No, P, you own it. If American workers lose out, if factories shut down, if prices go up, that's not diplomacy. That's policy failure. And the blame lands squarely on Trump's desk, right next to the Sharpie map and the Diet Coke button. You want fair trade? Fine. But fair doesn't mean reckless. And this whole tariff roller coaster, it's less America first. More like America confused. With Scott Jennings nervously checking the emergency exits. Anyway, let me know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. It helps us. It helps the mission, and it helps bring honest conversation to the table.